Hello folks, welcome back to Learn Synthesis with VCV Rack. This is your host, Dr. Lawrence W. Moore, and this is Series 2, Episode 12, where we're going to finish off looking at the modules in Shebang, the free module library that you can use with VCV Rack. It's been a pretty creative set of tools, and today's no different. We're going to be ending up with a couple of interesting tools: Cosmosis, Orbitone, and the visualizer called Photon. I will also be ending Series 2 at this point after this episode and beginning Series 3, which will begin with using VCV Rack with a DAW. And then we're going to look at what you would get with the premium version of VCV Rack. There's so much you can do with the free software, and they're very good about that. There's so much available, and it's almost endless synthesizing and fun with that. But I will be purchasing VCV Rack, the premium, because I want to support the development, and also I'd like to be able to use it as a VST. And so we will first look at how you would use it with a DAW for free, with the free version, in the beginning of Series 3. And then I'll do a couple episodes on what you get with the premium version once I do purchase it. So the series goes on, the overall series. It's just Chapter 2 is coming to a close here. What else did I want to say? I will also be launching a series on synthesis with Ableton, focusing on the instruments in Ableton and how you can make your own sounds with those. And it'll also be, focus on synthesis in general, so you can learn different sound types and so forth. If you don't have Ableton, don't worry, this VCV Rack series will still go on, but there will also be a lot of things in that series that you might be able to apply to other software instruments and so forth, because it will be synthesis focused, not Ableton per se focused, but I will be showing how to use those instruments. And that series could go on for a long time, because Ableton does come packed with a lot of stuff, especially if you get the suite version. But they have 3 tiers, and so we'll be starting off with the basic sets and then moving on upwards and outwards from there. There'll be plenty more synthesis stuff, in addition to that, to come. And I appreciate your feedback and maybe some of the topics you're interested in. But at this point, the software that I do have is what I need to be working with. I do also have Bitwig now that I'm running Linux. Might do a series on that. Let me know if you're interested in that. But I will continue doing some things in the future with Pure Data and PD Lorc. I'm going to continue along with VCV Rack. That seems to be right now, plenty of people interested in it. But yes, we will add Ableton Live and the instruments there. So anyway, that's the announcement taken care of. So let's get on with what we're doing today with these Shebang modules. Okay, so I called, I put together some things to start with, so I could go through the 3 modules we're covering today, which is this Orbitone Cosmosis down here, and over here the Photon visualizer. I do want to just add before we get started that I've covered every module that actually does something, performs a function between these episodes, that's from the Shebang set. But I'll just point out, you do have like these, they end up being really like spacers for your rack, blank panels, but in this case they're not blank. They have a color spectrum, and the spectrum kind of morphs over time when you put them in, although they do not have inputs or controls over that. So it is really just for decorative purposes. Here's another one here. So those I'm not going to cover because those are things you would just put in. Like when you have maybe like a 2 space, a 4 space, or 6 space area to just kind of like put a blank panel in, but instead of it being blank, it'll be kind of like a color spectrum. Okay, but Photon, which we will look at today, does actually have inputs and controls so that you can, it'll be like an audio reactive display. Okay, so we're going to start off with here at the bottom, Cosmosis. All right, so we've looked at NutriNode. It's node-based sequencer a few episodes back. It's kind of similar to that, except there's no sending out of like particles to bring out nodes. It's like a scan through sort of interface. And so what I did is I took the pitch out, put it into an oscillator. Well, right now I have it in kick-all right here from Wayfarer. Covered that in the beginning of this second series. And then its trigger output is hooked up to the trigger input of kick-all. So I'm going to show how it works when you're doing this. And then I'll use the oscillator with the envelope generator. Sorry if you saw a little blip there, but basically I wanted to pause this recording and save this patch and then unpause it. So anyway, I did that. So let's see how this works. I'm going to zoom in with the VCV Rack controls so we don't get the second mouse cursor. Here's the play button. We'll use that in a moment. We have speed control here, and once again, you can right click on it and type in a BPM and so forth. Now you have a pattern control here with some preset patterns that the developer includes with it. That's what that does. You do have a clear function here where you can clear everything. If you then go back to pattern, it will give you a pattern. Again, this is Aquarius. I am an Aquarius, so let's do that. It doesn't look like water bear, but whatever. Now, this is where, as things scan through, and if you use the purple perspective, it will go left to right, scanning left to right, because you see the purple line here that goes across the screen like a time cursor, and you'll hear these generate pitches here, and when it passes over one, it also sends out a trigger. So basically the value of the pitch control is determined either by position, bottom to top, in the case of going from this angle. But when you set it later, and I'll show you how to do this, to, for example, the aqua color, it'll go right to left. And I believe the position will still respond the same way. Size, of course, means it'll be a lower tone for a larger size and a higher tone for smaller size. But you see, blue goes this way. And with that, I heard in trying this out, is it's almost like left is lower pitch and right is higher pitch if you set it to position. I like position because it gives me a little more control over it. But yeah, blue, cyan, purple, and red is this direction. I know it looks yellow here, but it's actually red that goes upwards and so forth. But we'll hear that in a moment. You can set your mode And your, meaning scale mode, want to be Lydian. Go with that, and C Lydian or whatever tonal center you want to set. A lot of times when you're doing modes, it's hard to establish the tonal center, because when you're doing modes, you kind of need to reinforce the pitch of the tonal center for it to sound like it's actually the center. And kind of like a spread out thing like this, it's kind of hard to tell. But at least you know you're going to be in a certain key when you set this, and you know what notes are in that key or that mode. And then, depending on whether you're going with purple, going left to right, red aqua going right to left, blue going from top to bottom, and red going from bottom to top, you can set the octave spread that gets initiated with how far apart these things are from each other. For example, purple going left to right. If we're set to position, it'll be the spread of octaves for the pitch classes in that mode based on their distance apart from one another. We'll be able to hear that in a moment. It'll basically make sense. Now, this is not mode as in like a scale. This is mode as far as whether you're using the purple, blue, aqua, or red direction scanners as they go across. But you also have the option later on of doing clockwise and counterclockwise or randomized, I believe. So in those cases, like when you select purple, it'll just go left to right, left to right, left to right. You send it to clockwise, it'll go purple left to right, blue top to bottom, then aqua right to left, and red bottom to top, and then start over again with purple again. And so you get to vary that up a bit if you want to. Here is where you can randomize your positions. Like we're set to Aquarius now. If I hit random here, it'll just be random positions of all the nodes. And then there's randomizing the size of them if you're using size as your designation of pitch. And these are your two main outputs, trigger and pitch. So let's zoom out here a little bit. So we're going to be hearing a kick drum. Let me just test. Yep, we're sounding. Okay, so we're on purple mode right now. It'll be scanning left to right. And as it hits different nodes, depending on how high they are, you will hear highness and lowness of pitch. And so each time it plays, it'll be the same pattern. Maybe you want it to be faster, go here 180. Okay. You can clear it and then make your own thing. Like let's say we want to go bottom. Okay, so let's switch the playback mode. Now we're on blue, where this is lower pitches and to the left are higher pitches because I'm using position. So this is still highness of pitch being up and lower pitch being down. But of course, since it's playing it the opposite direction, going from purple to aqua is almost like playing an inversion. Yeah, and this is the same as blue, where to the right it's lower pitches, to the left it's higher pitches, all within this C Lydian mode, but it's playing it in inversion. So now if I switch the mode here, now we are going in a counterclockwise fashion. And what's cool about this is it's not random, but it sounds like varied. But as you hear each one, you do hear, you know, repetitions of ideas in such a way that it does sound, you know, somewhat unified, not completely random. Now I switched it to go. Maybe I didn't switch it because that's still counterclockwise. No, it's actually, yeah, counterclockwise. Basically, when you hover over it, you can see which mode you're actually on. Now this is random. So it's just random of which angle it's going to play it from. Now if we switch this to size, then size determines highness and lowness of pitch. But still, position, depending on which direction it's scanning from, will determine order. Now, let's go back to the purple mode. And I'm going to adjust its octave. Let's make purple like up an octave, blue down an octave, aqua up 2 octaves, and red down 2 octaves. And then put this back on random. And I'm going to go back to position. Because if you want to actually have a little more control, you go with position, because like when I'm making notes here, there's nothing you can do to determine the size. You just make them and it randomly makes a size. I guess then you can delete ones that you don't want, but it would take you a while to get something exactly how you want it. Position is the best way of doing that. But let me show you something else. Its output is not a gate, it's a trigger. Like when it passes over the node, it triggers happen, do it. And let's say you want to use an oscillator instead of a percussive instrument. Oh. Sorry about that, should have thought about it. All right, we'll turn that down because the envelope's not on it yet. So this is a trigger, not a gate. You can use it with an envelope, but I just want to show you, you know, basically what you're dealing with when you do it. Okay, so now our amplitude is governed by the envelope generator. I'm going to press play, fade it in, and then talk to you about it a little bit here. Oh, the pitch isn't hooked up. Now, you look here, just about the whole time, it's the release portion of the envelope that is highlighted. That's because we got a trigger coming in. And so the trigger's not like on, off, or open, close with a gate message. So pretty much your other stuff here, like if you turn up the attack, you start losing the sound. So it's probably best to keep these other items all the way down, because all you got is release. And that's how you could control duration. So yeah, you can play around with that and can do neat stuff. So there we go. That's Cosmosis. And what I'm going to do is disconnect this. Move you over and move my audio module up here so we can look at Orbitone. Now, let me see here. I would like start over. So I cleared it, which clears its orbiting nodes that are the tone generators. Okay. Yeah, I am having troubles with my mouse. Alrighty. While I explain this stuff, let me see, as the gate. Yeah, I'm going to turn this down and talk about things, and then we'll turn it back up when it's time to use it. The way I'm using it right now is it has outputs for X and Y coordinates, and we'll see how that works, but I'm using my Y coordinates to determine amplitude and X coordinates to determine pitch. You can definitely use these parameters for other things. They're not specifically saying gate or trigger or pitch, like volts per octave. So let me just remind myself of how I have it hooked up. Right here, I have two different oscillators, and they are hooked up to channels 1 and 2 of split. Now let me see which one's going to which. I thought I put them in order left to right. I think so. Yeah, so this is sine tone in a square wave. Sine tone is voice 1, square wave is voice 2. And I did the same thing with their amplitude controls, which are over here, but I had to pass them through process and put it on slew. In fact, this should be turned up. Because I was hearing kind of like skips in amplitude that was, at least for the sine wave, giving some artifacts, little snaps in between, because it was sudden amplitude changes, even though things move in kind of like ellipses and orbital patterns here. There was enough of a differentiation between them that it wasn't sounding as smooth. So slew helps smooth that out. That's why they're there, just for the amplitudes. So the amplitudes are coming from the Y coordinates, and the pitch is coming from the X coordinates. You could have X and Y determine just about anything. Now, X is obviously horizontal position, and Y is vertical position. And your four little, they're called attractors here, basically will shape the flow of the particles that go around. The particles are what determine X and Y coordinates. And they kind of move around, like in a gravitational field. And you can control the gravity of these different attractors here. Now this is on and off. You can turn off some if you want to just use one. And let's just go with one for now just to see. Got the aqua on, and then G for gravity right here means how much gravity it has. So let's see what that means. Now the volume's still down, and I'm fine with that because I just want to be able to just show you what happens. You click and you create a particle, and you can play and stop with this. Did I hit clear by accident or something? Because the particle went away. Let me try that again. Let's see. When you stop, it does automatically clear. Okay, good to know. All right, so as you see right now, it's kind of like attracted by the attractor, but it's swinging off screen a good distance away. If we turn up the gravity for this attractor, you see you can get it to change its orbit. And it's orbiting closer now. Okay, there we go. This goes two directions. Somewhere like this means a stronger orbit, I believe. Keeps changing. Now, this also has an impact when you have more than one attractor in. So I'm going to turn on the red one there. And what I'm going to do is turn up the gravity. Right now they're about the same between the two. I'm going to turn it up for aqua. And you see how it's getting attracted a little bit more to aqua than it is to red. It stays over here a bit more. And so that's how that, determines some things. Okay, and so this is where you turn them on and off. Move. You could actually have your attractors move around when you click this, and it's kind of like the other software, Neutrino, where they just kind of wander about. But let's just give them a position for now, and then we'll kind of hear this. What I have going on is the x coordinates, horizontal, is determining. In fact, I'm going to actually switch these. I'm going to have vertical determine pitch. Vertical determine amplitude, and horizontal determine the pitch. So now let me turn this up here so we can hear it. Okay, we were hearing it before. Let me make sure I'm in polyphonic mode, because I am using splits here, where we're basically getting two different outputs, depending on the order you put them in. Oh, actually, because I only have one, maybe I need to go into monophonic mode. Okay, you're going in there. You're going in there. And then we do have one going here. And channel one over here going here. So our channel one should be the one that we hear. It is, I do see Strangely enough, I see this lighting up. And I see this lighting up. Oh, there was something there for a moment. It didn't last very long. What the heck? What we should be getting is as the x coordinates move this way, we hear a change in pitch going higher. Y coordinates down this way, change in pitch go, y coordinates is amplitude, so down is quieter and up is louder, but I'm not sure why we're not hearing anything. We briefly got something there. Let me see here. Let's try going out these outputs. There we go. Gotta turn it on and off. Now let's see why that is. I had used both of these before, but this is negative X and negative Y. This is positive values. And these are the poly outs, so I could create two of the particles and have two different results coming out on two different channels. As you saw there, I was able to make it monophonic. I can make it voices, and then poly outs listed here, and this is offset. This is something I guess that can be used to offset your X and Y values, but I had it initialized. I'm not sure why positive X and Y were not yielding sound there. Anyway, let's turn you back up. You're going to hear a solid tone until we put in particle. So that should be voice 1, the sign, and now we're going to add a second one, the square. So by using these splits, you can have as many voices going as you have particles. But like right now, I don't know which one I made first, which one I made second, you know. But if you follow, like, let's say the square tone, the square wave seems to be this one. But it's mixing around so much that you won't know which is which after a while. All right, now the other outputs up here, these are mono. And what they would give you is the minimum X and Y values among all particles moving around, meaning the minimum at that point in time. Whatever the lowest X value is, it comes out. Whatever the lowest Y value is between the different particles would come out. You can get an average. Oh, the top one's the average. And the middle one is the max X and Y values. But let me see if I can get the positive X and Y. I'm not sure what it means by positive X, positive Y. Like if we would say this is positive Y, down here will be negative Y, but we're still hearing stuff. I don't know. I guess if you're doing polyphony, pick one or the other. And then here you have velocity, which would mean the current speed of the Y and X coordinates. So as they move around and get caught in gravity, they're a little faster, I guess. But anyway, it's some pretty cool stuff. Now, let's take a little look at, I'm going to turn this down, take a little look at our Photon visualizer. If you stare at it long enough, it is continually changing. Clicking on it doesn't do anything, you know, in space here because you're just grabbing the module. But you see it is kind of morphing. But you can affect this. Now, I'm not totally confident in being able to explain each of these. Sorry if you see an extra mouse cursor, the large one is me. But in order to see the text here, I got to zoom in with the operating system. VCV Rack does not enlarge text when you zoom in. For example here, this is separate CV input. I don't know what it means by separate. Align input. Well, what we can do is take, for example, for separate, take a patch cable and move it over here to our pitch outs. What I could do is just take an average. Our pitch is X, so we'll go there. An average of our X coordinates. Now let's zoom out and see what's happening over here. So that is hooked up to separate. Now let's see if it's morphing with the tones. Not entirely. So let's try align. Not seeing a big difference. I mean, you can kind of see some things going around in here. I think more so than in the other mode. I'm seeing more kind of like patches, like masses, as you see. Okay. Now let's go in. And we're going to try the next one. Let me read it. I'm sorry. This is cohesion. So now, affecting cohesion. And I can definitely see, you know, patches forming, like a clumping and so forth. More of a clumping than what we had before. So right now it's our pitch values that are kind of affecting any of these inputs. Let's go here. Now you can hook up multiple ones at the same time. And sorry, let's zoom in and see. This is target color. So let's take a green cable and hook it up to Y. So our amplitude affects like the cohesion and the target color. Set it to that. Interesting. Now there's some more things to look at here. Those seem to be slow morphing changes. I'm sorry, I got to zoom in to see this. See here. We have X input and Y input, and then offsets for both. Okay, so let's do it where pitch is X input and amplitude is Y input. Now the thing is, these say CV over here. But this doesn't say what it is. Let me try some audio outputs into it. We have audio coming into each of these channels. And so we could take direct outs from those channels. I can't tell what I'm affecting here. Anybody want to leave a comment? We figured out any of these. Now I changed the offsets a bit. I'm seeing a little bit more blockiness and I don't know, it could be my imagination as it continues to just morph and stuff. But these I know are definitely audio inputs down here. Like for aqua and red. But you see how it's flickering like that? And now I see like something like a sound wave that's trying to form. Maybe I can bring it up with these controls. You know, almost like a scope wave. Nope. Let's try these. No, I'm not able to bring it up. So there's a scope wave there at the bottom that is not coming up. Can you grab it? No. Yeah, these are just color codings. It'd be nice to get that scope wave on the screen. Now let's plop these into something else about the offsets. Yeah, so it definitely is very audio reactive. Now, I did find out, I know there's no audio coming through this channel, but I just want to show you. There is a third input here. And I think like everything else that it has where there's color coding. Aqua, red, blue, and purple. I think the blue and purple are cut off, but you can at least access whichever the third one is. But I don't know that this directly impacts those colors. What the heck? I did not see that before. Okay. Okay, it's the first that I saw that. We got one of those. I'm not sure what the red and the aqua are giving us. I think the red is giving us the flickering screen. The aqua, I don't know, because when I got this off of red, we no longer see the screen flicker in and out. Let me just disconnect this temporarily. Now I'm starting to see a little more sound wave. It's just at the bottom of the screen. Kind of like, I wish offset meant, you know, move it up. So I see a little bit more of it. Now, I wish there was like a fourth input here, but yeah, if you hover over where it would be, it's not there. It's just like cut off. So, I mean, it does give you some visualizations, and I do encourage folks to let me know in the comment section, if you play around with this, what you come up with. And maybe give a better overview than me. That'd be much appreciated. Although these offsets seem to be affecting our color choices. Let me see here. Because you see how we're getting the black and white now? See if we can get some color back here. Well, of course we have this too. Going into the mixer here. How about we go into the mixer up here? We could have ourselves a little music festival. Yeah, I did that again. Now this one is not polyphonic. Well, there really wouldn't be anything to be polyphonic about. So I could delete this now. We got cables in front of our visualizer of this little guy. Let's play this. Let's take our audio out here. Channel 3. And pop you in. Yeah, I plugged two into the same one, didn't I? No. Oh, the other one. Oh, this is in... the third one. There we go. And we get color back. That's a good screenshot for today. Awesome beans. Okay, folks. There you go. So, if you found this useful or informative at all, please hit that like button. We're entertaining. I'm good with that. I don't mind being an entertainer. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think of this stuff. I think there's definitely some uses for these modules in this set. Not just these specifically tonight, but the overall set. They are pretty cool. Yeah. So anyway, until next time, take care and stay free.